Okay, well, we are live here with Emily Arcuri, one of the coaches at Campfire Endurance, and I think you have someone else with you.
That's right. I have little Ariana here.
And how old is she? When did you start this particular journey of motherhood?
Yeah, Ari is 3.5 months old now, and she came into this world January 4th. So it's been a learning experience.
I bet. Yeah. And before being a mom, before going through pregnancy, you have been a longtime endurance athlete and coach. Tell me a little bit about yourself as an endurance athlete.
Yeah, so I've been swimming my entire life. I can't believe it's been over 2 decades now. Started with club swimming, did a couple years of college swimming, and then transitioned to triathlon about 6 years ago. And really jumped into long distance Ironman racing, and I fell in love with it and, trying to get back into it now.
What do you love about it for all of our listeners who are curious about long distance triathlon?
I absolutely love that I'm just scared to get to the finish line every time. Full distance triathlon, the 140.6 racing, every time I start, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish. And I love being that scared of a big goal to get there.
I imagine some of that experience of moving through fear or the unknown is part of what probably helped you during your first pregnancy. And today we're going to talk about how other women can train and race through pretty much their entire term. Because I think you were training pretty close up until the end, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was able to do the Chicago Marathon at 7 months pregnant. And then after that, really, really toned down. But yeah, race pretty much throughout the whole thing.
Well, good. Today we're hopefully going to give other athletes kind of the knowledge that they can do the same thing, that they can stay active and that it's not only going to be good for them, but it's probably also for babies. And yeah, just a really great way to keep people moving as long as possible. So you broke your article down into thirds to go along with trimesters. So tell us, what are the things that if you want to train and race through most of your pregnancy, what should you be focusing on in your first?
Yeah. So this was my first pregnancy and my first baby, obviously. And I was really unsure, what was to come over the next 9 months and then what was to come after delivery. And so I did a lot of research, tried to figure out what could I do, what would I want to do, and really framed out what are my goals for the next 9 months and beyond, and what can I do now to provide a safe return to sport once Ariana was here. So I did a lot of pelvic floor research, a lot of strength training, and a lot of trying to keep myself healthy and just doing what I could every day. The first trimester is so tiring, so exhausting, and a lot of women get morning sickness. So going through that and giving myself grace was a huge part of that.
And what events did you partake in during your first trimester?
Oh gosh. So I wrote about doing the bridge swims. I was right on the edge of the first and second trimester, but I did a couple bike races in the Portland area, Mike Myers time trial. I think it was like a 66-mile gravel ride out at the coast, a duathlon, a half marathon, just kind of everything. I just kept going.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a need to stop at that point.
And do you have any specific memories about, like, did you feel like, tell us about, how did you feel? Like, did you feel different? Did you feel normal? Like, what was both outside of normal and what was completely?
Oh goodness, Chris. Yeah, it did not feel normal at all. My my body temperature was significantly higher, so I was a couple degrees warmer, so I was sweating
Interesting.
consistently.
Huh.
So I really had to be careful about what I ended up wearing during these races because it would end up coming off. I was thirsty. I was drinking significantly more than I normally would. And I was eating like crazy. So my body really required a lot more calcium. So my go-to was cheese pizza throughout the beginning, the middle, and the end of my pregnancy.
In your article, you gave us a takeaway for each trimester, and the takeaway for trimester one was finding your why. What was that for you?
My why is to never give up. I felt that way before pregnancy. I felt that way during pregnancy, and I feel that way after pregnancy. It's something that stuck with me throughout my life. I'd always want to finish what I start, and it's really important for me to just remind myself to never give up. And the reason I never want to give up now is because I have little Ariana on board, and I don't want her to see me, giving up.
Okay, so let's say yeah, so when did your first trimester end? Like, what was the time of the year?
It was in the summer. It was in June, the end of June.
Alright, so you shift into your 2nd trimester kind of end of June, and then what can people expect moving into their 2nd trimester being an athletic pregnant?
The second trimester is amazing. It's awesome. For most folks, the morning sickness subsides and you have a ton more energy. You're likely sleeping through the night, knock on wood. And this is the time to really get back to what you were enjoying pre-pregnancy and perhaps preparing your house and your home for your next chapter.
And did you notice any differences in the way you start sleeping better? Yeah, your body starts feeling better. What kind of changed for you athletically from the first trimester?
Yeah, so the first trimester, I was very sick. So I wasn't able to do morning workouts. I wasn't really, I could hardly do jogging, really light walking, light swims, light runs, and then trying to participate in events on the weekends. And then in the second trimester, I was able to get back to my life. I was able to get back to my training, to my plans, hanging out with, my training partners and getting back to it. But really had to be careful at the same time, right? Because this is when it's so easy to get injured. So I really leaned into strength training.
And was that a difference from normal for you? Are you an avid strength trainer? Are you one of those good endurance athletes who like loves the gym?
Oh gosh, I wish I could say I love the gym, but I do. I mean, I do, but it was, you know how it is. Time is precious. So I had to lean into in-home strength training and really pelvic floor work was my focus second and third trimester and trying to get that as strong as possible for a safe delivery.
Do you have a good resource for pelvic floor stuff or were you working with a physiotherapist?
Goodness, I went to several different pelvic floor workshops and I learned through them. I don't have a specific PT, but just, yeah, I wish I had someone, Chris. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, now I'm just gonna ping you for all of the pelvic floor workshop stuff that you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your takeaway for trimester number 2 was acknowledge and reflect on challenges, pivot, and keep going. So tell me about why that was your takeaway.
Yeah. So, second trimester, I really started focusing on training for the Chicago Marathon. And that was the hardest training block I've ever had. Not because it was spectacular or special or I was doing crazy mileage, but because I had to pivot and change the training every single day based on how my body was feeling. And it was tough, right? Because I'm already so fatigued growing a human and then trying to do marathon training on top of it was pretty tough, right? So I just had to listen to my body every day and the aches and pains had to acknowledge those and figure out how to keep moving forward without causing permanent damage.
And so when you say pivoting, were you basically just like rearranging your training schedule like every week, every day?
Yeah, so my goal was to really do a 3-hour run by leading up to the Chicago Marathon, and it took quite a while to build to that. And so I really had to change my training plan to try and figure out how to get there and not push too hard. And I ended up not getting to the mileage I would have hoped, but more time on feet. And that's just what it was.
And how did the race go?
We finished.
Okay.
So
Was that the goal?
that was the goal. We got to the finish line in one piece. It was really special. My husband ended up running with me. We had these Ariana's first marathon t-shirts that we wore together, and people thought my name was Ariana. So that was fun.
That is, I mean, that usually, whenever people just see a name on your shirt, that's, what they end up going. So
Yeah.
you move into the third trimester, and your bullet point for that was focus on what you can control, and consistency is key. So, yeah, what would you tell people that were facing that final trimester of pregnancy and still hoping to train?
Yeah, my, biggest piece of advice is just keep going, and find that thing that makes you happy and brings you joy And instead of, mourning the things that you can't do anymore, really focus on what makes you happy. And so for me, that was swimming. That didn't cause me any pain. It was a social activity, swimming with a master's team. And so I really leaned into that group during my third trimester. And then I joined, some moms groups to do uphill walking,
Nice.
which was really fun. And just enjoying the moment. You're only going to be that super pregnant for 3 months, so enjoying that time.
And so January 1st, Ariana's born. January 4th, Ariana's born. Um, how has this whole process changed you as an athlete?
Oh my goodness. As an athlete, let's see. I think it's really changed me as a person, which is being an athlete is a big part of who I am. I would say I have a newfound knowledge of patience and patience with myself and patience with other people. And when I am, really trying to hit a watt target or a pace or a heart rate target or a time in the pool, I used to get so frustrated. And now, if it doesn't come today, it will come tomorrow, it'll come the next day. And I'm just giving myself grace. And I used to not be able to do that.
That I wish we get all our athletes, pregnant ones or not pregnant ones, to could put one thing on a billboard that pregnant athletes would be able to see and internalize. What would the message be to
Oh goodness. I'm just thinking of your social media post for Campfire right now and how you had that billboard. What would mine be? I would say don't give up on yourself. You're stronger than you know and than you think. So I would just say believe in yourself. You can do it. You really can.
did you have moments during your pregnancy when you doubted that?
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish the bridge swim. I was very unsure about the Chicago Marathon. But, just digging deep and really having to have that confidence in myself is something I didn't have before, and I really worked through during my pregnancy, and I feel like it stayed with me.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that's going to go away now. That would be wild if it kind of didn't. So, well, that is kind of it. Like we're just trying to do a quick little like summary of the excellent article that you wrote. And folks, if you want to see that, you can go over to our Be a Better Triathlete page. And we will have a link to that down below this YouTube video. And Emily, thank you so much for being willing to talk about this. And even though we didn't get to see Ariana, it was nice to hear her.
Oh, I
Or
can take
are
her
we gonna
out,
get to
Chris.
see her? We can get a viewing.
And over kicking her with a foot on her little
Could tell. Oh my god. Hey
here's
Ariana.
my little angel.
God, she's like a
Yeah.
model baby. She's like the freaking Gerber baby.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, Chris.
yeah, thank you for joining us, both of you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good weekend. Bye.